Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Creating Success with Nidal Rasheed. And today I'm thrilled to be chatting with Scott Bradley from Asset 101. Now, Scott is an absolute wealth of knowledge in the financial and wealth creation space. He's run multiple businesses amongst different facets, in particularly with mortgage brokering, financial planning, financial advice, property investment, education, sales, and more recently, and more importantly, financial coaching. So in today's session, I want to delve deep and I want to pick Scott's brains because I want to find out what are the patterns that he sees amongst those who are succeeding financially against those who are struggling. So without further ado, thank you for jumping on board and welcome to the call, Scott.
Yeah, thanks, Nidal. Great.
Well, Scott, I've been looking forward to having this chat for the last couple of weeks, actually, because we work with similar clients and we're both trying to help them better themselves financially and move forward and, achieve their goals. And because we've got different synergies, I thought this is going to be great value for our clients who are interested in property investing, but might not be having this conversation with anyone around their financial planning, their advice, or more particularly the money coaching side of it, which I feel is so important these days. So I'm absolutely thrilled to have you on and for us to pick your brains. But before I do, I'd love to know a little bit about your backstory and share with our viewers, who is Scott Bradley? How did you end up doing what you're doing? And if you can give us, a bit of the Scott Bradley story, please.
Okay, sure. Well, look, I'll only go back 20 years. How's that sound? I won't go back before then because I've done a lot of different things over the years. But in around 1999, I worked for a business who was doing finance or mortgage broking, but also they were doing the basics of, I guess, helping people to pay off their debt faster. And after a while, I realized that they were not fully engaged in that actual idea or concept of truly helping people. And I guess my heart really does want to, do the right thing by people and really help them and move ahead, because that's what gives me that buzz, I guess you might say. So I saw an opportunity to help clients better. So I asked the owner if I could become a partner, and he said, "Look, no, I'm not going to take on any partners." So I said, "Well, look, I hope you don't mind if I leave." And he said, "Well, I'm not happy, but you have to do what you want to do." So I started a company back then called Home Ownership Company, and I think within about 6 months we would double his size. So we sort of only went from 2 or 3 of us, and then within a year or two we'd built a business up to about 40 odd staff here in Adelaide, and then within a couple of years we then went over into Perth. We opened up in Melbourne. We had another 20 odd people over in Perth, and so we were having some phenomenal growth. And I guess over the next 11 years we brought on from 0 clients to about 3,000. So it was a lot of clients. It was a wonderful business. And we expanded out, as you said before, into financial planning, into property education, sales, and finance, and obviously financial coaching. Financial coaching was always our real core focus, because we believe that, by helping people get out of debt enables them to not just create wealth, but then to be able to then go and create more wealth through property acquisition or whatever it is that clients wanted to do. So unfortunately, my wife got very sick. And eventually in 2011, I sold the business. And then unfortunately, she passed away a few years after that. So I needed to take a number of years off for a bit of a break. And then I started Asset 101 again I guess in the last few years, which has been great. Obviously a bit of a name change there. And Asset being, I guess to be successful financially, as you build your asset base, you then develop a passive income, which hopefully then can replace your expenses and then enable you to, live a life not reliant on a job or whatever it might be. So really, I guess that's the purpose behind the name Asset 101. So today our focus is truly on helping people, I guess, save money for homes they might want to buy. It's also very much about helping people pay off their debt very quickly. That could be their home debt, their investment property debt, doesn't matter what it is, but there are some amazing strategies. They're simple though, that can be implemented to make sure that you get those debts paid off, because the quicker you pay them off, the quicker you create wealth. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. 100%. So what exactly do you do when you're providing that service for clients?
Well, look, I guess ultimately we empower our clients to achieve their financial goals much faster than they would otherwise. Now, whether that's to be paying off their home or investment property, as I said before, save for their own home, or even for a big event like a wedding or whatever it is. It's all about doing that in a fraction of the time. So what we do is we have a first appointment, and at that meeting, our focus is to clearly understand what first of all, where the clients are at and where they want to go and what they want to achieve. We're very big on understanding what clients' aspirations are and where they see themselves in the next 2 to 5 years, and then maybe out to 5 to 10 years. And assuming they're happy and we're happy we can help, we will then make another time to get together. And that's where we will actually run through, based on their unique circumstances, how they can benefit and, what the results are, virtually guaranteed to be by coming on the program. So from there, there are essentially 2 parts to our program. The first part is establishing an effective budget program, and I'll talk to you about that in a sec. And the second and most important part is the ongoing coaching and mentoring. So if I start with the explanation of the budget program, so first of all, I'll talk about budgets, because I was at a seminar a number of years ago and this guy started talking about budgets, and I'll be really honest with you, I kind of started to go, oh my goodness, budgets, how boring. And, really, I mean, let's be honest, most of us don't like budgets.
And I don't think anyone out would have done as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but he did a really good job on us. He said, let's be honest. He said, budgets suck. And I'm like, what? I couldn't believe he just said that. And he said, seriously, budgets suck. And then he had my attention, because I thought, wow, I like this guy now. He said, in actual fact, can everyone stand up? And we all stood up, and he said, right, just shout out, budgets suck. So there was about 50 people in the room. We all said, budgets suck. We're all a bit, we shouldn't really shout it. He said, no, seriously, come on, you can do better than that. Anyway, after about 5 or 6 times, he kind of rivaled us all up, and we all ended up screaming out at the top of our lungs, budgets suck. Anyway, he said very quietly, he then just said, but you know what? If you want to be successful, you're going to need to have a budget. And was like, he's right. And we all kind of had this dawning, and it's actually true. It doesn't matter whether you run a business or it's your personal household, we all need a budget if we want to be successful.
Absolutely.
However, there's a really big difference with our budget than what a normal budget is, because most budgets are just an income and expenses. And then there's going to be a surplus or a deficit at the end of every month. But what does it all mean, Nidal? How does that relate to everything else I'm doing in my life? So what we do is we have a very clear understanding on people's goals, and we have a very clear understanding on their debt. And then what we do is we have the income and the expenses, and we link it all together. So I'll just show you a quick slide there, just to sort of illustrate that. You'll see on there, we've got our income and our goals, our income and expenses, and then our goals and the debt. So our budget incorporates all of those things there, as I said. So in other words, all of a sudden, it becomes a very motivational tool, because it's like, wow, now I understand how we're going to get from here to here, and how my spending will affect the achievement of our goals and the reduction of our debt. And I think that is absolutely imperative in terms of actually knowing you are, because when that happens, people go, wow, now I'm understanding what's actually happening. So I guess the next question then is that people ask is, how do we track and capture those expenses? Well, if I go back 20 years ago, it used to be keep your receipts and write them down in a little book and all the rest of it. Well, you'll be very, very pleased to know that these days it's all done automatically. We have an automatic data feed that goes into your bank accounts. It brings it down. It's only a one-way transaction. You can't actually transact on it. It all comes down and it puts it in this pretty exciting program. So you can see there that you can have it on your phone, you can have it on your tablet, your PC, your laptop, whatever it might be. And as it says, it enables fast and accurate reporting, which allows us to have a deeper and more meaningful conversations around helping you stay focused on what's important. And that is achieving your goals, as in all customer goals. So that's the first part about what we do is that budget side of things.
Awesome.
Sorry,
go on.
No, you go. That's
all right. I was just going to say, because that's going to bring up the question of what is the difference between what you're doing there and what a financial planner would do. Because, a lot of people are going to, mistake financial coaching for planning, and I think they're two different things. Can you?
Yeah, they are.
delve
They're
into that?
completely different. Yeah. Look, if you don't mind, Adele, I'll touch on that a little bit later because I was going to just sort of cover that in more detail. However, just to sort of answer that now, financial planners, almost all of them don't do what I've just explained.
Yeah.
It's not what they're generally trained to do. It's not what they focus on. They have a lot of other areas that are very important that people can benefit from. But in terms of managing day-to-day money in, money out, that's not something that they would generally do. So yeah. So essentially, what we end up with, our clients have an effective budget plan. It incorporates the online budget tracker. It links all their financial accounts through a data feed and then shows them exactly how they're tracking against their budget at any point during the month. So, and that's what makes our program, I guess, very, very exciting. Now, it's really important to understand that that's only 20% of the reason why our clients are being successful. Only 20%. It's really important, but it's only 20%. The number one reason why clients are being successful over the last 20 odd years is because of our ongoing coaching and mentoring program. And that is the absolute major importance of what we're doing. And if you don't mind, I'm going to turn this around onto you just for a sec, if that's okay.
Of course.
We're having fun here, but Ian Thorpe, as you know, is probably Australia's most successful athlete, I think by one little medal, if you know what I mean, in terms of how well he's done at the Olympic Games. But in 2004, which I know was a long time ago, he actually said publicly that he wouldn't have been anywhere near as successful without his coach, Tracy Menzies. So I guess I'd like to ask you the question, why do you think that Thorpe said that he wouldn't have been anywhere near as successful without his coach, Tracy Menzies?
I think a coach serves you when things are against you. So it's all really well and easy to be winning when times are good, but when times get tough and you start losing a bit of confidence and you're uncertain, you start getting doubts. That coach is there to sort of realign you, put you back in line, give you a kick up the bum and sort of set you straight. So, and I 100% agree with you. I mean, some of the most successful athletes and business people and professionals, actors, everyone around them, they got good people around them. And, I think one of the most key people having is a coach that's going to be there to not only give you the blueprint and give you the shortcuts and, help you avoid the mistakes that they've made and other people are making, but are also there to keep you in line, to pump you up, to give you that, that dose of motivation when you need it, to sort of just keep things on track. Because sometimes we can be easy on ourselves. I mean, if we don't reach a certain goal or if we let something slip, we can go, oh, you know what, it's okay, we'll forgive ourselves or whatever. But a coach is going to keep you accountable, and they're going to make sure that you follow through. They'll, ask you, where are you up to with this? What's happening there? Why have you not done what you said you were going to do? And they just keep you honest.
Yeah, that is a fantastic answer, mate. That's really, really brilliant. Absolutely awesome. Serves you when life's against you, doubt, you have doubt, uncertainty, set you straight. They provide blueprints, they shortcuts, you can learn from their mistakes, keep them in line, pump you up, keep them on track. There's a lot of fantastic answers there, mate. And I think that's really good. So I think that's the best answer I've ever had, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
So I guess from our perspective, if I was to summarize that, to say that there's three things that a coach generally provides. And number one, it's an objective perspective. And you've covered that in there because, as you know, when it's your own situation, you're very close to it. And you're also very emotional with it as well, in financial situations. So, people often can't see the wood for the trees because, as the old saying says, that when emotions are high, intelligence is low, and we're all the same. I fall in that category. You do. Everyone does.
We'll do.
So what a coach does is comes up and has this helicopter perspective, and the helicopter perspective says, "Hey, do you realize?" Oh, sorry. And the helicopter is also unemotional too. Don't forget. It says, "Guys, do you realize if you just did that and that, you'll actually get there a lot quicker?" And you go, "Oh, I didn't even see that." So a coach often points out the bleeding obvious sometimes, but on other times they're actually making you aware of things you may not even be aware of as well. So I think I should mention too, the coaches aren't there to tell you what to do. Coaches are there to guide, to really often ask questions that get you to come out with the answers that are right for you. Correct. So objective perspective is number one. Second thing is accountability. because we know that when people are left to their own devices, they'll always go down. But when they have an accountability process, they'll always rise and become better. And the third thing is focus, because we know that when we focus on something, provided we've been taught correctly, we'll actually end up doing it a lot better and we'll make a lot greater gains. And I often use the example of a car. If you think about the car you drive now, and when you first bought that car, new or secondhand, doesn't matter. When you first buy it, it's like, wow, I'm noticing them everywhere. Did everyone go and buy the same car as me last week? Because they're everywhere. And the truth of the matter is, no, that didn't happen. What's happened is your focus has changed. So now you're seeing things that have always been there, but now you're being brought to your attention. So that's another a good I think a good example of what a coach does. So if you look at we've talked about Thorpe being the best swimmer in the world. Well, if you look at a learner swimmer or a lousy swimmer, what do they need to be better? They need a coach. It's on a different level, but the fact is we all need a coach to take us to higher levels if we want to become better swimmers. So what are we to our clients? Well, we're their savings coach, their mortgage coach, even their wealth coach. So it doesn't matter whether someone's the best money manager in the world or the lousiest or the learner. We all need a coach to continue to take us up to those higher levels. So I guess what we're like is we're like a personal trainer for your money, if you like. So that's essentially what we do.
Awesome. And that really, that does kind of, because one of my questions that I wanted to ask you was, well, why should someone, go out there and try and find a money coach as opposed to try and do it on their own? But I think we've covered it from a few different angles.
Well, that's a good question. And I think first of all, we need to note that, people could do this on their own, because occasionally I get some people thinking, I could do this on their own. Well, that's like Thorpe saying, I don't need you, Tracy Menzies, just give me a plan or something and I'll go and do it. Well, the truth is you just don't see any athletes or any sporting teams or anyone out there doing it on their own these days. I'd say virtually all successful businesses these days also have coaches too. I have a coach. I'm sure you have a coach, Nidal. We know the value of a coach. And as I said before, it's a psychological fact that people that are left on their own will always, first of all, they tend to go back into old habits, emotional habits, and they never reach their full potential. So, if this wasn't true, then I guess, then why does every athlete have a coach? It's as simple as that. So the bottom line is that there's no other way that we know that can accelerate your journey faster than by having the support and accountability system to keep you on track and achieve your goals a lot quicker. What I'd like to do just quickly is I'd like to just play you a very short little YouTube clip. This is actually from Eric Schmidt, who was the Google CEO, and when it was first brought up to him about having a coach, he thought, well, hang on, I'm a really successful guy. I run Google. You're like, you gotta be kidding me. So just have a quick listen to what he has to say, because I think you'll find that interesting. So let me just get that going. Here we go.
A coach. Our board member in 2002, John
sorry.
North, because I've received so many different kinds of advice, I don't know where to start. One that comes to mind is to have a coach. Our board member in 2002, John Thorpe, said, you need a coach. And I said, well, I don't need a coach. I'm an established CEO. Why would I need a coach? Is something wrong? No, you need a coach. Everybody needs a coach. So Bill Campbell became my coach and has served Google very well. Every famous athlete, every famous performer has somebody who's a coach, somebody who can watch what they're doing and say, is that what you really meant? Did you really do that? They can give them perspective. The one thing people are never good at is seeing themselves as others see them. A coach really, really helps.
There you go. I love that last little bit. He said, a coach really, really helps. So absolutely. I think it's absolutely true. So I was going to also just say to you that, that if a Google CEO needs a coach, then I think we can probably benefit too. So, over the years, we've helped around 3,000 clients. We did in fact have people that stopped after 1 or 2 years of coaching. But what happened, Nidal, is that when we've gone back to see the client for maybe a loan review or to see if we could improve their current, interest rate or whatever it might be, it's really funny. We get together with the client And the first thing they'd say to us is, yep, okay, listen, I know you're going to tell me that I haven't paid off as much as what I did when I was with you guys. And they'd start making excuses, and we didn't even come there to talk about that.
Yeah.
And it's really, really weird. And we'd say, I used to say to them, well, how do you feel about not paying off as much as what you did in the previous years? And they said, well, we don't feel good about it at all. And so all I had to say was, well, what do you think you should do? And they said, well, we should probably start the coaching again. I said, well, that's what you'd like to do. So I don't think we missed one client. Every single person that we went back and saw that had come off the program ended up coming back. So it was a really beautiful thing, really. So, and I think the reason why it's so powerful is because, people, actually stifle their own progress when they don't have that accountability system. So it is quite interesting. So yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, that kind of takes me on to the next thing, which is what happens when someone has just become aware of what is a money coach, and all the possibilities that come with it. What advice would you give to someone who is starting out on their financial journey? They might be just becoming aware that money coaches even exist. They never heard of them. They never knew that they existed. They hardly knew what a financial planner was, but now they're interested in investing and making their money grow and all that kind of stuff. What advice would you have for that person?
Yeah, no, good question, Nidal. I think firstly, deciding and writing down what success means to you is really, really important. Success doesn't have to mean, having a big house or, on the beach or a sports car or a boat or, $1 million in the bank. And I think a lot of people think that that's what being successful is. Well, the truth is it's not. I mean, there are plenty of people who have committed suicide that are very, very wealthy and all the rest of it. So it just proves that that's not what success is really ultimately.
Right.
I mean, sure, it's nice to have those things, but it's not what really feeds the soul and feeds the heart and so success needs to be defined. And I think it could be simply just having enough money to pay the bills, roof over your head, that you may own as well, obviously, and just having a stress-free, happy life, with your on your own or with a partner or whatever. There's no really right or wrong definition of success. So, understanding what that is, I think is really, really important. The bottom line there is that there's some wise principles I think that we can apply in our life. And number one, that's being a good steward or being a good manager of your money, I think is really, really important to do. Second of all is to become debt-free as quickly as you can on your bad debt. And I'm sure you've explained this to your clients in the past, but, we define a bad debt as a credit card, a personal loan, or even your home debt is technically classified as a bad debt. Now, when we say bad debt, we mean a debt that's not a tax deduction and does not make you a regular weekly, monthly income. So obviously, you're in the investment property space. Well, that is a great debt. That's a good debt because it is tax deduction and does make you money. So our focus is to help people get rid of their bad debt very, very quickly so they can then either create good debt, and then obviously then we want to help pay that off as well so they can get more and more if that's what they choose to do. So I think secondly, understanding where you are now and where you want to go in the future is very, very important. And this is the process that we take every client through anyway. We help them clarify what they actually want to achieve. And then most importantly, help them put a plan and help them be accountable to it. So I think the next thing is, creating a realistic budget. As we've said before, we know that budgets suck, but if you're serious about achieving your goals, you're going to need one. And you're going to need to stick to it. And that's the tough part if you don't have that ongoing support and accountability, because everyone can set a budget and everyone can sit there and use it for 2 or 3 months, but it's whether they can actually have that consistency in staying with it. Quick story. I saw a psychiatrist many years ago. Now, he earned a good amount of money. He was on about $500,000 a year. Anyway, I showed him the presentation and he said, what do you think about that? And he said, well, and he brought out all his budgets and he had them all. He said, look, everything that you're telling me about, I've got budgets and everything else. And I said, that's great. And he said to me, Scott, so just tell me, give me one word as to why I should come on board with you. And I said, well, look, before I do that, do you mind if I just ask you, you've got these budgets, but when was the last time you looked at it? And he said, Okay, all right. Probably about 6 months ago. I said, okay, no problems. Well, thanks for being honest. I really appreciate your honesty. And I said, you want one word? And he said, yes. I said, accountability. And there was this beautiful silent pause for, about 10 seconds. And he said, all right, let's go. I'm on board. Let's go. And because he knew as a psychiatrist,
yep.
He knew the power of accountability. And I didn't need to explain it to him. He knew. So that was just a great example of what I mean by that. Anyway, but you need to have some sort of accountability. The fourth thing, I guess, would be able to, as I said before, able to clearly link your income and expenses with your goals and debt. Now that sounds simple, but in reality, it's actually not. Because what we do sounds simple, and it is simple to the customer, but believe me, behind the scenes, it's actually a very complex process to not just create, but then to ongoing manage and make it simple for the end user, obviously being the client.
Absolutely.
So if you don't, it's very true. If you don't have a system or process to understand what's happening, it can be very, very difficult to navigate what's actually going on with your finances. And I guess this is the importance of having a coach who has strong systems and a process to help you achieve your goals. The next, so that's pretty much it. You asked me a question before, Nidal, about the financial advisor, and I just thought I'd cover it now. Financial advisors tend to focus on implementing financial products and strategies, while a financial coach focuses more on the basics of personal money management, behavioral change, and accountability to a client-driven spending plan. So while financial advisors most commonly help people to manage wealth that already exists, a financial coach's role is to provide a client with knowledge, skills, and behavior that will actually help them build that wealth in the first place. Now, that could be through savings plans and or the reduction of their own home debt or mortgage debt or, investment property debt or whatever. So financial coaches are focused on understanding exactly what is happening with their clients' money in and money out. Mm-hmm. And empower clients to bring out their creativity. That's something that happens a lot in our world, is that we, I guess, encourage that incredible creativity that people may know they have, but most people don't know they have it, in terms of what they can do to get ahead with their short to medium term goals. So I think that's probably just the difference between a financial coach and a financial advisor.
No, awesome. And I think, like you said, the financial planners are really helping you manage what's already there. Whereas without having the skills and the knowledge and the strategy of how to build it, sometimes you wouldn't even get to a point where you need a financial planner without the money coach there in the first place. So that's actually great advice and, great tips there. But in terms of that same person who's starting out, that they want to embark on this financial success journey, and they're obviously going to have a lot of distractions and options and things out there, because everyone's obviously, talking about this strategy or this, investment or this deal or whatever it is. Sometimes it can create confusion. It can create a little bit of uncertainty, and sometimes it can stop people in their tracks because they get overwhelmed and not do anything with it. My question, and I'm sure I want to know from your side, what is it that you see happening in your world that could potentially become a pitfall for people who are wanting to grow their wealth? Or, what mistakes would you advise people to avoid when they're starting out on that journey?
Yeah, well, I reckon I'm the king of mistakes. I reckon I've made so many mistakes in my lifetime. It's unbelievable. Maybe you've made one or two yourself. I don't know.
I think we all have.
I think in answer to that question, I wouldn't mind perhaps going through a few of the common myths, I think, around wealth creation, as far as, from the angle I'm talking about today. And I think, a lot of people think that to achieve financial success, they need to live off the smell of an oily rag. Most people think, budget, I don't want to do a budget. I don't want to change my lifestyle, And the truth is that when we set a budget for people to begin with, it's generally a list of expenses they're already spending now. Yeah. But what happens over time, Nidal, is that people realize that how and what they're spending and how that impacts upon their goals and their debt being reduced, or their savings, or whatever it might be. But people start to make different decisions, And it's not because we tell them to at all. It's because they start realizing, wow, look at what we're spending and look at what we could be achieving. And they then start to purchase items that add value to their life rather than detract from it. Because I don't know about you, but we've all bought things when we get a little excited about, we go out and buy, and then we get to bring it home and go, why did I buy that for? What an idiot. I don't even need that. I don't know why I did that. So it's things like that. It's just becoming more aware. And when you can link it into your goal and link it into your savings plan or your debt reduction, it really does make a difference. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing, or a myth, is that believing you can do it all on your own without help. Now, I know it sounds like I'm probably trying to push coaching, and I don't really make any apologies for that, because I know that if I want to be better, I've got to have a coach. And now I have a coach. I have a few coaches, and because I just know that. I mean, I hate having a coach sometimes, to be honest with you, but most of all, I go, wow, I'm so grateful I've got the coach, because they really do all the things you said before, Nidal. So, I think that's number two. Number three, myth, I guess, is that a lot of people think you need to be earning a lot of money to achieve success. You need to be having a good income to do that. Well, that's definitely a myth, because it's not about how much money you earn. It's about what you do with your money that is important, and that will determine your financial success. 100%. I mean, you're involved in property. Property is awesome because you can leverage property, using other people's money, e.g. banks, to help you leverage your financial situation, create wealth over time. Wow, what a strategy. And you don't need to earn a lot of money to do that. So more money will not always help fix the problem. It's the understanding the value of the dollar that you earn and the management system that's in place behind that. Knowing what money you have is important. Knowing where your money is going is important. And knowing how your money is working for you is important. So therefore, it's not always about, the pay rise or the amount of money that you earn that will enhance a person's quality of life. It's more about how they manage their money. So I guess that's the third thing. A fourth point would be, or a myth, is that I don't have enough time. Well, the time that we would need in what we do, for example, is probably 10 minutes a week and a 45-hour coaching session each month. And if you don't have 10 minutes a week or an hour once a month to sit down and look at your finances and the achievement of the goals in your life, and I'm sorry, but you've got way bigger problems than you know. So the truth is, we can all do that. So the fifth myth would be that wealthy people are just lucky. Well, I was shown something a long time ago about what luck is, and it was the intersection of two roads, and those roads are Preparedness Road and Opportunity Street. I'll call it Street and Road. So, meaning if we prepare, if we do all the right things that we've, things like we've spoken about today, then it's inevitable that opportunity will then come along. And where that Prepared Road and Opportunity Street meet in the middle, that little point there in the center is being lucky. That's what luck really is all about. Yeah. So, I love the old 5 P's, is that prior preparation prevents poor performances. So it's all about preparation, getting organized.
And I agree with you, because I think the harder you work, sometimes the luckier you get.
That's it. Beautiful.
If you're out there putting out all the right things and the right actions and the right things in play, like you said, eventually that opportunity is going to find its way over to your world, and it's just a matter of you being able to be prepared to grab it and run with it and do something with it.
No, absolutely, mate. That's fantastic. The 6th myth is that a positive mindset is not all that important in helping you achieve success. I mean, you sort of got to laugh at that one, because that couldn't be further from the truth. When you're focused on the negative, you simply attract exactly what you're thinking. That's negative things, negative people, negative events, the whole thing. Yep. And I love that saying that Shakespeare once said. He said, there's nothing good nor bad in life, but thinking makes it so. Correct. So, and I really love that, because an event to one person might be negative, but to another person it's positive. So hang on, how can one event be positive and negative? Well, anything that makes that different is your thinking towards it. So, look, it's not easy. Let's be honest. I mean, I get down just like everyone else does, but ultimately it's our positive mindset and what we choose to focus and think on that's going to make the difference. And it's the consistency of that. I think that word consistency 100%. Needs to come up. We need, we're never going to be perfect. We're all going to have our ups and downs, but that consistency of staying on track. The seventh myth is that someone's going to tell me what to do with my money and I want to lose control. Well, with what we do, that is absolutely not true at all, because under no circumstances, from our perspective, we are going to tell anyone what to do with their money. As I said before, our job is to guide our clients through asking questions that are relevant to their goals and what they want to achieve. And most people know the answers. It's just they need someone to help bring them out to do that. Another one would be spending money on financial coaching will make me go backwards in the achievement of my goals. So it's a bit like saying, someone paying you to help them find a great investment that will make them, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars over the coming years is a bad investment. Well, no, I don't think so.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, well, so that really is a really, I'm going to say negative mindset, because, it's like the old saying, if you don't, you've got to spend money to make money. So, but occasionally, some people feel that the investment in the program will put their savings plan backwards or will increase their debt for a little bit. But the truth is that's only momentarily going to happen. In fact, it might put them back by a couple of months. And then once those couple of months happen, they're then going to go and improve so much faster than what they were normally doing. It's incredible. And I'm going to show you in a minute a couple of examples of that. So that would, I think they're probably the main points that I would say.
I agree with you 100%. And one thing that's been so true in my life is what you said about what things mean. And I believe that the only meaning anything ever has is the meaning that you associate to it. You can have two people in the exact same scenario. They might have a car accident. One walks out and says, why am I the victim? Why me? Why do I have to have this car accident? Why all the bad things happening to me? Whereas that same person can come out of the car and go, thank God I didn't hit that Stobie pole. Thank God I didn't run over this kid. Thank God I'm still alive. And the perception that you make of that situation will then influence how you feel, how you act, and your behavior. And then if you became toxic, and you might end up having a fight with someone and, could spiral downwards. Whereas that person who takes that attitude of gratitude, as I say, can, then have a great day because all of a sudden they're still alive and they recognize the how lucky they were as opposed to how unlucky they were. And that, obviously filters into other areas of life. So I'm 100%, with you on that, because I think your attitude towards life in general, what you put out is what you get back. And like you said, someone might think, in order for me to get some financial coaching or property investment advice or whatever it is, it's going to come at a cost. Whereas that next person says, no, this is an investment because, I might be paying, $1,000, but I'm going to get $10,000 in value in return. So it is, and that difference in mentality will then shape how the behavior unfolds from that point on, and obviously it leads to different results. So I'm 100% with you on that. I think we both share the same views, and in many things, but that in particular. So Scott, you've been obviously doing this for a long time. I'm sure you've worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of people over the years, and you've seen patterns between those who are winning and those who are not winning. In your opinion, what are the patterns of those who are doing it well?
Yeah, no, another good question. Well, first and foremost, I'd say is they made a decision to engage. I think that's number one, is that, just having that trust and faith that this is actually going to work. And we've just spent the last, 5-10 minutes just talking about positive mindsets, both of us. And I think that the strongest pattern that I've seen, other than making a decision, is going in there with a positive mindset and an expectation of having a great result. I would say that would be singularly the most important aspect, because we know that our program works. It absolutely works 100%. What doesn't work 1% or 0.1% of the time is people. And it's all got to do with mindset. So 99.9% of our clients are all being successful and doing great. Because they have a positive mindset, and it's as simple as that. And I don't think I can say anything more than that. It's like a computer program. Yep. The quality of the input of the programming will determine the quality output. It's as simple as that. It's no different in our head when it comes out. So I guess the patterns that result from that positive mindset and engagement into the program is that, number one, and I want to talk about the benefits of that, is that they become empowered because they're now in control of their finances. It's an amazing feeling to feel like that, because then what happens is they have reduced stress and frustration. They have an increased focus and clarity. They enjoy their finances a lot more. I think that's another major attribute in terms of what we do. And I guess based on clients' experiences, they go through these different stages. Stage one would be they go through this greater awareness of what's happening in their financial world, because all of a sudden they're thinking, wow, I'm actually understanding how this is impacting on what I'm doing. And it's an amazing realization for most people. Second stage is the realization of how that affects their goals. The third area is becoming more mindful of their money and what adds value to their life and what detracts from it. And I mentioned that before, about people start buying things and investing in what adds value to their life rather than just, stuff. I mean, I don't know about you, but every time you get on Facebook these days, or no matter where you go, there's ad. And the temptation to buy stuff you don't really need is very, very strong. That doesn't help you achieve your goals.
That's right.
So we need that focus more than ever, I would say. And the fourth thing is people become more creative. I often, in coaching, I often challenge people to say, what can you do to improve your financial situation? Because, as you know, there's only three ways to improve your situation: either spend less, or make more, or do both.
Yep.
And so when you ask people these questions, they might not know the answer today, but I guarantee you over the coming months, they come up with these ideas and you go, wow, that is an amazing idea. And they start doing better and better. Most of our clients are not on track with where we projected that they would be. Most of our clients, like 90+% of our clients, are ahead of where we projected they'd be, because they just love that competitiveness. They love seeing themselves achieving their goals quicker. The fifth thing is that they achieve their results faster, which is what I just said. So I guess in addition to this, it's interesting that clients, whether it be singles or couples, develop a real sense of, as I said before, that competitiveness, and they love to beat their targets. And honestly, it's very exciting to see that, people even beating the targets we set for them. So what I thought I'd do now is just show you some real life examples, if you like, Nidal.
Yeah, please.
Sorry, let me just go there now. Share screen. Here we go. So this is a couple here. They're under 30. They're 28 years of age. They've got a combined income of $105,000. They've actually been on our program for 17 months now. Now, this young couple wanted to save enough money for their house. Now, just so you know, as it says to us, when they came to us, they'd moved into their in-laws' house 3.5 years earlier to try and save money. And the most that they ever got was $10,500. And then it sort of stayed there. In fact, over those 3.5 years, they then got into $7,000 worth of credit card and other bits and pieces of debt as well. So they just weren't breaking past this level. So they actually heard me talking to someone one day and said, Scott, can we have a bit of a chat with you about what you guys are doing? And it sounds really interesting, and we could really do this because our goal is to buy a house. So I said, sure. So I want to show you the results over the last 17 months with these people. Within just a few months, we got rid of that $7,000 debt for them. Well, when I say we did, they did, but we guided them. And you can see here on the graph, this is their $10,500 balance. And over the last 17 months, they would have probably been about $12,200 based on their 3.5-4 years tracking prior to seeing us. This blue graph is what we projected that they would achieve. But I'm very sorry to tell you, Nidal, that in reality, this green graph is what they've actually achieved. Awesome. So you can see there that they started in January. They started in January because that time they were paying off debt, and then now they started to increase. So you can see there that they've ended up within 17 months, $52,000 worth of savings, as opposed to what we projected that'd be is at $38,500. So they've done incredibly better than what even we projected they'd do. Now, I said to them that it would take about 3 years before they could buy their home. Well, how good's this? they bought their first block of land. They signed a contract on it 9 months into the program. And no kidding, last Thursday, just gone, they've just signed the building contract for their property, and it will start at the end of the year. So they are incredibly excited about all this. And obviously they've had a really big windfall with the government incentives, which is pretty awesome for them as well. So it's really, really cool. So it actually says they're looking to sign a building contract. Well, they actually have already done it. So when I put these slides together, they hadn't done it, but now they have. So there's a really, really good example. And as it says there, they're now engaged and their relationship has improved out of sight. And it's just so good to see them all coming together and doing so well. So another couple, these guys are 50, combined income 150, been on our program for 10 months. They wanted to eliminate their debt. What to say, they're aware to be on track debt free in 36 years. So they basically want to pay off their debt as quickly as possible. Now, these guys here, you can see here, this grey graph is where they were tracking prior to us coming on board. And you can see there, it's going to take a long time for them to pay off their debt. This blue graph is where we projected that they would be. Now, you'll notice that it starts there, it goes up higher and then down, up a bit, down, up a bit, and then down, down, down. The reason why that's going up there is because they had certain goals that they wanted to achieve. And that's why we projected their overall debt would be up a little bit. But I want to show you something really interesting. When these guys started with us, as you can see there, the green graph is where, or what they've, their actual closing balance. So the first month they did better than what we had projected. The second month though, they went up, and then the third month they went right up. So they're not tracking well. Now, what happened there was their hot water system blew up, and it cost them $4 or $5 grand to get that fixed. But there was a trend of going the wrong way. So we had some fairly, robust discussions about this trend and what they were doing and all the rest of it. I know life happens sometimes, and that's okay. But we can work with that. But look what they've done. The next month they dropped significantly, still not on track with where we projected. But then I had these discussions about talking to them about saying, well, you're in the right direction now, but let's try and maybe consider bringing you back in line with where we said you could end up. And they said, yeah, we'll do that. Look what's happened though over time. Now they're beating it a couple of months later. Now they're really starting to beat it. Now they're getting even bigger gaps. And look at that. I'm so proud of these guys. In May and even in June, they've really dropped down. So they're really starting to really plummet away at their goals and obviously achieving it. So they're way ahead of projections. So they're going to have their loan paid off in such a short time. They're so excited. So there you go. Just a quick one here. This couple earns, quite a good income, but they've got a big debt. Now I'm sort of giving you young people, old people, it doesn't really matter. Or older people, I should say. So their financial planner said that the only way in 5 years' time when they retire, the only way that they can, live, I guess you might say, is they're going to have to sell their home and pay off the debt, and then they'll have to live on their super. Well, what the financial planner didn't know was that the wife really, really, really wanted to stay in that home because that was her emotional home. That was where they had their pool and it was all very exciting, and she didn't want to leave it. But they were never going to pay off that debt. They were on track for 25 years to pay that debt off. Wow. All right. So when we sat down and we talked about their budget and what they're spending and everything else, we worked out they could actually be debt free in 7 years. Okay. Awesome. Now they were like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. So this is what's actually happening. That gray graph is where they were tracking. And as you know, the blue graph is where we projected, and the green graph is what they're doing. So as you can see, they've been ahead of what we projected every single month. Now, I've got to tell you though, in March, April, he had his income reduced by $1,000 a month, and a lot of negative things have happened, but we've talked about it and the impact of how they're tracking with their goals and everything else, and they've made adjustments. We didn't tell them to, we've just made them aware. So they're able to make these adjustments because they know where they're going. So it's very cool. Go on.
No, I was saying this is, like it's actually quite cool because when someone knows where they're going or they've got a goal to achieve or something in their sight, they'll actually work harder to try and achieve it, regardless of what comes up along the way.
They
So,
do, because they know where they're at. And I think that's
correct.
the thing, because most of us just give up. Most of us think, oh, that's all too hard. I don't even want to know where I'm at because it's too hard in my head, and it's just never going to happen.
They don't see past the obstacle. Whereas once you've been given a goal or a strategy, and I see this every day with what I do, because I talk to people about, their financial capacity and how much they can save and all that. And they'll give me, wishy-washy answers. And as soon as I show them what the goal looks like and, how they were able to buy a house, and then I ask them the question, then all of a sudden, they're prepared to make sacrifices and overcome obstacles and all that. And it's actually beautiful to see when someone is really committed to achieving something, they'll do whatever it takes. But when they don't know what the goal is, they don't have any accountability, they've got no strategy, they don't know how they're going to achieve it, then, they'll just retreat back into their comfort zone. So, look, I'm a big fan of all this stuff.
No, absolutely. So look, what I thought I'd also do, Nidal, is I wanted to just show you a real live example of what clients can actually achieve. So hopefully you can see that up there now, can you?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So Nidal, we had a bit of a chat earlier, and you sort of gave me a few figures here of a client, say, earning a combined income of about $180,000. $120,000, let's just say, for client one, and $160,000 for client two, for example. Well, if we just go through that, we would sit down and work out what that particular client's budget was. And in this example, their expenses are around $75,000. That's on living expenses only, not including their mortgage or credit card or personal loan or whatever debts. It's just living expenses. And on top of that, we're assuming loan repayments of, say, $26,000 as well. So their loan repayments would be, in this case, a home loan. Let's just say they owed $328,000, and let's say that interest rate was 2.9%. And let's just say they were paying $2,200 a month off on that, and they're going to pay that debt off in 15 years. Let's just, again, say that was an example. And like a lot of people, for example, they might have a credit card debt. Let's just say it was $10,000, and let's just assume they're paying $400 a month off on that as well. So in this example, what we've done is even though we might, in an ideal world, consolidate the $10,000 and into a loan, and even a cheaper interest rate and all the rest of it, let's just say, the net result of knowing exactly what their income is, knowing what their budget is, and knowing what their mortgage and debt repayments are, we, under our program and the way it works, one thing I haven't mentioned today is that we teach people a lot of 1%ers. Now, as you know, 1%ers make a massive, massive difference. I usually use the example of a rocket that takes off from Earth and traveling to the moon. But if that rocket was off track by just 1 degree only out of 360, just 1 degree, it would actually miss the moon by nearly 7,000 kilometers, which is actually basically double the diameter of the moon. So it's like, wow, it had missed it a lot, just 1 little degree. So we know that 1% makes a huge difference. Now, what we do is we introduce to clients' lives not just 1 or 2 1%ers, but 5, 10, even 20 little 1%ers over time, and that makes humongous differences. That's a good word, humongous, by the way. That was my joke. So I want to show you in this example, and this is a very real example. These clients would pay their debt off not in 15 years, but in 6. So that just gives you an example of how well they could do. So let's just say that they're speaking to you and they say, well, look, we'd really like to buy an investment property this year. Straight away, no worries. They've got plenty of equity. We can easily arrange that. So I've assumed a $450,000 purchase. Is that about right for an average property that you'd sell in Adelaide?
Definitely.
Yep. Okay. Now, look, I know that the purchase cost on that would probably only be about $15,000 because stamp duty is only paid on the land, and there's a lot of savings in buying new property or building a new property and so on and so forth. So, but I've allowed 25 because I love to show people worst case scenarios.
Yep.
Because if it was that for whatever reason, they're like, great, we're happy with that. But the chances are it's only going to be the 15. But I've added up there. I've assumed a 2% capital growth, whatever. It would be more, but I'm being conservative.
Conservative, yep.
And with the rent, The way I've worked that out is I've assumed that property would probably get about $450 a week, multiply that by 52, and then I've taken off 20% to cover any property management fees or whatever. So I've tried to be very conservative. So in a minute, what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell the computer when I push this little button here, I'm going to tell the computer to add an additional $475,000. Actually, I'll bring that rate down. Let's be and I'm not saying 3.5% would be the rate. It'd be less, but I'm always bump up the expenses, as I said, the rates. But I've had to add 475 because it's 450 purchase and, well, not 15, but 25. So I'm going to add another $475,000 to that. So when I do that and I put a Y in there and boom, and what the program's done is just gone and bought a property. Now, I want to go back to the original personal debt graph, and you'll see there, oh my goodness, look at that. Do you remember the last one said 6?
Down from 6 to 5.8, yeah.
Well, this is just their home debt, right? The original $338,000 debt. But look what's happened. We've actually dropped the home debt down by another few months. Now, how's that happened? Well, the way that's happened is because the client is now getting that rental income, the rental income's now helping to pay off their bad debt, their home debt, and we're keeping obviously the investment property debt at its highest level to gain the maximum tax deductions and so on and so forth, whilst the home loan's been paid off. How cool is that? Perfect, so it's actually helping to pay their home debt off even faster. But if we have a look at what, hang on, sorry, that's not what I want. If we have a look at the overall total graph debt, actually, before I show you that, I want to take that away. Nidal, how many years do most people take a loan out over for their investment property? 30 years?
Yeah, about 30 years.
And for most people, honestly, how long do they normally take to pay off their investment properties?
Probably more than 30 years because they refinance along the way.
Thank you so much. In this circumstance, you can see there, this red graph is the total debt, so home and investment. This red graph, however, is your old scenario, is the client's initial scenario, which is just the home debt. So remember we said it was going to take 15 and a half years to pay off? Yep. Under this new system, the new financial coaching system, this blue graph is your home plus the new $475,000 loan. Yep. And the whole lot is paid off in around, let's say, 12 and a half years. And what have we actually done in 12 and a half years? We've paid off 2 properties in less time than what it was going to take to pay off just 1 property. Yep. So when people look at that, they go, wow, how does that happen? And the answer is really, really, really simple. It's because it's prior planning prevents poor performances. It's about understanding what's happening and the power of what you earn. And when you put it to work properly and have it accountable and have a proper plan, you can do amazing things. Now, in this case, Nidal, someone might say, well, can I buy another one? Well, the answer is absolutely. You can buy another one. How long will it take me to pay off another one? Well, interesting answer. You can just look on this graph here and see your equity position to know when you might want to do another one. But the bottom line is it's whatever people's goals are. Our job is to help them achieve that, and that's what we do. So hopefully that's been a good example. Do you have any questions on that, by the way?
Eye opener. I do have a question. So someone might be watching this and going, okay, well, I'm now taking this loan that would be paid over 30 years and we're shrinking it down to 11, 12 years or whatever it is. How does that work? Am I putting all of my pay into this loan and that's all I'm doing, or are we restructuring?
No, it's a good question. So you got to, first of all, you need to understand that when we sit down with our clients, the first thing we do is we understand their financial position. So we know income and expenses, debts, all the rest of it. The second thing we do is we sit down and we work out what is their budget? What are you spending right now? And when we understand that, we're able to put this in, we're able to model that in here. Now, obviously, if people are spending more than what they're earning, they can't do that. Now, the good news is most people we see aren't doing that. Most of our clients, just so you know, in fact, all of our clients are not really struggling with money. If they're really, really struggling with money, we'd probably suggest going to My Budget or something like that, which is a great business. Most of our clients are already doing pretty well, okay. They're doing okay. You know, obviously there's different levels of okay, but they're doing fine. But they want to improve. They want to do it better. So this program's assuming that that any surpluses that you've got are being used to pay off that debt. When that credit card debt's paid off, then that $400 a month is now not being spent on something else. It's now being transferred and paying off that debt, for example. So it's little things like that that will be happening that make all that difference. So it's just really understanding what your income is, what your expenses are, and under our program, you'll understand that. And honestly, as you've seen by those other graphs, people end up doing even better. So you know how I've shown you this projection here, or probably this is a better one. I've shown you that projection there, right? Well, the reality is that that blue graph is the projection, and the green graph is where they're actually at. You know, just like these other people here, they're actually doing way, way better. And that's what happens. So we always show projections that are the worst case scenario. So I hope that sort of answers.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And just for the sake of the viewers as well. So if you're watching this and thinking, oh, I've got to be earning, you know, $300,000 a year for this to apply to me. That's not the case, because Scott, your clients are usually everyday mums and dads, you know, on reasonable incomes. So I'm talking
between 100, 150 in combined, I'm sort of talking about.
Yep. But what they've done is obviously made certain decisions around how they reduce their spending and free up more money that can go back into paying down their debts and, you know, obviously owning their home a lot faster.
And I should mention to you that if you ask any of our clients, any of them, has your lifestyle diminished? And the answer 100% of the time is absolutely not. In fact, it's got better.
Yep.
But you spent less the last 12 months. They go, yes, we did spend less. So has your lifestyle got better? Because we're in control, we're empowered, we're achieving our goals, we're becoming debt-free or saving for our new property. We're feeling great. We buy things that add value, and we just are feeling amazing about that.
Absolutely.
Simple answer.
Absolutely. Because look, money does impact, you know, other areas of your life. And when you're struggling financially, you're going to feel, you know, the bad feelings that come when it comes to money. Whereas when you are saving and moving ahead and progressing financially, that actually empowers you in different areas of your life, because then you're spending money in the right areas. You're actually spending, you know, money on things that are worthwhile, as opposed to blowing it. And then at the end of the year, when you look back and go, oh, wow, we've actually come a long way, that sense of satisfaction and that feeling, you know, that's what helps you, you know, reconfirm that what you're doing is the right thing and wants you to do more of it. So then, like you said, it becomes a competitive thing where you're like, okay, how much more can I do this year? And I think, you know, you touched on it earlier, when you are able to coach someone on a, not just financially with numbers and budgets, but on a mental level and you know, on a personal level, and sort of guide them through, you know, the things that aren't monetary when it comes to finances, then I think that's when you can become really effective. And I know that you do that really well, Scott. So, you know, mate, like I'm honestly impressed with everything I've seen here. And my question to you is that, you know, you've obviously created a lot of success, not just for yourself, but for your clients as well. You know, what's that golden nugget that you could share that's changed your, you know, your career, your personal finances, and that you see working for others as well?
Yeah, look, that's a really difficult question to answer, because I don't think there's any, you know, one golden nugget. You know, I've talked about consistency before, and, you know, but I think ultimately it's back to that mindset again. You know, it's having that can-I. You know, Tony Robbins talks about the can-I principle, CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. And I think that's what it's really all about. You know, having your goals written down, very, very important. These are all the basic, simple things, but you know what? It's the basics that work really, really well. Because, I've just shown you some, I better stop sharing, sorry. I've just shown you some pretty exciting graphs, right? And a lot of people think, oh, that sounds too good to be true. It's all hocus pocus. Well, do you know what? It's actually not. This actually is factual stuff. This actually really works. We've got 3,000 clients to prove it now. But, you know, our money program's not magical. Or it's not hocus pocus, if you know what I'm saying. But what it is, it's doing the basics really, really well. As you know, that when you do the basics really, really well at a very high level, the results therefore are magical. Yep. And I think that's where it comes into. So You know, life is a struggle. You know, there's no doubt about it. I don't think you can ever put it any other way. And you can't say life's rosy because it's not always rosy. Life is tough. Life is a struggle. But you have the choice to decide which struggle you want.
Yeah.
You can either struggle being successful in terms of achieving the goals that you want to achieve, or you can struggle being broken, depressed, and everything else. Either choice, it's going to be a struggle. You just need to decide which one it is for you. So ultimately, I would say it's all got to do with mindset and attitude. Simple as that.
And I would have to agree 100% with that one because, yeah, you know, seeing patterns amongst people, those who are winning, generally the main difference I think between people who are winning and those who aren't is the mindset and, you know, their attitude towards life and what they put out, they obviously get back. So I think we've had a lot of golden nuggets in this interview. And again, I thank you for sharing, you know, the knowledge and the wisdom and the expertise and everything that you've shared with us today. And I would love for the people who are watching this and our clients and our viewers to, you know, obviously take that next step and reach out. If someone wanted to work with you, Scott, what would you advise them? What steps can they take to reach out and make contact?
Well, I would welcome a phone call, not a problem as well. I'm happy to give my mobile number. It's 0411 600 200. Call me anytime. Very happy to have a chat with you either over the phone or be the best thing there obviously is to get together. We can either meet you over the phone, as I said, or in Zoom. Zoom works really well these days. I find it works great for everyone. I'm happy to meet in person too, but it's just generally easier over Zoom, I think. You can go to our website and book there, which is just asset101.com.au. There's a booking button there. We're on Facebook as well. So however you want to contact us is entirely up to you.
Awesome. And naturally, you know, people are going to walk away from this with a lot of knowledge, but, you know, knowledge without action is useless. So
yeah, absolutely.
What steps or what's one little action piece that you would encourage someone to go out there and do right now or right, you know, today in order to make sure that all of this, you know, goes into some kind of momentum to move them in the right direction?
Yeah, no, great question. You know, if you've got goals you want to achieve that are obviously financially based, well, you know, you need to do something. And I would honestly, sincerely, if it was me, if I was on the other side, I would say to me, give these guys a call, have a chat. It's no obligation. If it feels right, then great, do it. You know, because as I said, the first step is just to have a chat. We'll have a meeting. We'll find out where you are as a client, where you want to go. And assuming you're happy and we're happy we can help, we will then make another time to run through the whole program. At the end of that program, we'll have explained absolutely everything. And then people can decide. But, you know, I'll be honest with you, most people will come on board. But at the end of the day, our goal, our focus is helping you as a client to achieve what you want to do. What floats our boat, what gets us motivated, what enables us to go home and sleep really peacefully every night is just knowing that people are achieving, because it makes us feel good. You know, I know this might sound weird, but I'm probably weird. My dream, my goal is I want to go down to Hutt Street and have a coffee or something like that with someone and then just have a client walk up and say, hey, you made a difference to our lives. You really improved our family, our world, our financial situation. And that's all I want. That's all I want in return. It's just a pretty good feeling to do that. So
that's awesome. That's what we refer to as the positive ripple effect, you know, just sort of spreads out. But look, one of my coaches and mentors early on taught me never leave the sight of a goal without backing it up with some form of action. So for you guys out there watching and you might be thinking, okay, this sounds good and I want to pursue it. My encouragement to you guys is pick up the phone, get on the website, do whatever, any little action. Just do not leave this video without doing something to sort of move you in that direction. So I wish you guys, you know, the best with your financial success, and I hope that, you know, you got a lot of value out of this interview. I always get a lot of value out of these interviews. So you know, I'm very appreciative of the role that I get to play in this. And once again, Scott, you know, it's been an absolute pleasure, and you know, it's been certainly enlightening for not just myself, I'm sure for others who are going to be watching this. So thank you once again. And yeah, I hope that you guys who are watching this are getting some great value out of these interviews. So is there anything that you'd like to leave us with, Scott, before we wrap it all up?
No. I think we've covered, a lot these days. Or today, I should say. Sorry. I think I love stories, real life stories. Perhaps just to finish it off, if I may,
Of course.
I'm a financial planner who we work with very closely, by the way, because when a client's got a planner and a coach working together, it's very powerful. But I was referred to someone years ago that was a financial advisor, and I gave him a call, said, "Do you want to get together?" And he kind of didn't do it. But about a year later, he called me and said, "Oh, look, Scott, I didn't meet you a year ago, and I feel like I should do that now." And I went into his office. It was in the city. And we sat down at his big boardroom table, and he was like this, and all very defensive. And I said, "Is everything okay?" And he just went. He said, "I'll be really honest with you. I'm very embarrassed." And I said, "Look, I understand." I said, "Look, believe me, you join a long list of very distinguished people who have been in exactly the same situation as you. Dentists, doctors, accountants, financial, it doesn't matter who it is. Because it's like that old saying, plumbers have the leaky taps at home, mechanics have the worst kept cars. I've had vets, by the way, honestly tell me that vets have the worst kept pets. Dentists tell me that most dentists have the worst teeth, goes on. So the bottom line is, you as a financial advisor helping everyone else do their life so much, better and well, but you're forgetting about yourself. And we all do that. We don't focus on ourselves. That's why we all need someone external to help us keep us on track. So then he went, "Thank you for making me feel comfortable." I said, "You're very welcome." And I said, "Thanks for being honest. I really appreciate it." He'd become a client. He did really, really well, and away he went. So I think it doesn't matter what your situation is. You can improve and do it better and faster and more efficient. And that's what we all want to do. We want to maximize the time we've got here. So
Absolutely. And like you said, the old can I strategy, constant and never ending improvement. It's not about, having a massive result overnight. It's about those little consistent actions that are consistently, being implemented and executed. So thank you again for everything today, Scott. Really, really appreciate it. And to all our viewers, thank you for your attention and your contribution and your feedback to all these videos. Hope you guys continually get good value out of them. And as always, if you have any questions or you'd like to an introduction to Scott, please feel free to reach out, and we'd be more than happy to orchestrate that. So hope you guys are having a great day wherever you are. All the best, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you.